How's it going, everyone? Matt, glad to see you're the first one in. First starting to give me a break. I'm not that bad. How's everyone doing tonight? Dakota B, Battle Bear. Nice to see you guys on the stream. That's awesome. Yes, Everson, you made it this time. How's everyone's day, early evening been going so far? Hopefully, very well. Good to hear it, Nick. And Eric, 3844. Good. How's the weather been where everyone's from? Snowy, cold, rainy, windy? For those over on the west side of Washington State. And yes, from last live stream, I'm a little more awake this time and actually have food in my stomach, so. How's it going, Andrew? How's the UK doing? Probably fairly late for you guys, so. Hot, windy, mild. At least we get a broad spectrum, which is good. Waiting for the chat to catch up, so. Rainy in North Carolina, which I've heard some people have come into work recently and they've even said it's been rainy there a lot lately, so. Nightmare of gray. I mean, could be worse. Could be tornadoes, blizzards, stuff like that. Firestorms, fire tornadoes. It's always a possibility. As for me, it has been very cold. And that's about it. No snow, no nothing. But we're not really into our snowy season just yet, so. Oh, damn, it's already Sunday. Oh, yeah, I mean, okay, trying to. Because what? The UK is about 7, 8 hours ahead of us? Something like that? Yeah, Saracen, I've been watching the updates and all that about going over there for Christmas. It's looking pretty sketchy. I may not be able to go, just depending on the passes, so we'll see. Fingers crossed. I mean, we actually did have a small tornado here in Washington State on the west side, which is very rarely a thing ever here in the state. We get dust devils, stuff like that, but. And I'm sure everyone's ready for Christmas. Hopefully everyone's getting some good stuff for the upcoming season in a few months, so. Wasn't. Well, I mean, it damaged a few houses, but no one died. Luckily. I know me kind of saying it in that tone sounded like yeah, an F2. I think the worst one to hit the state was like 74 or something like that, and it was an F3, which is still pretty weird. Yeah, Saracen, I still laugh at that picture that you sent me with all your lanterns and all that going, with your Civil War clothes on. It was pretty funny, man. 2 inches of snow in Fargo. I mean, we have no snow here, Leonidas, so, but yeah, it's hovering right around 30 degrees for me too, so I think this morning at like 10 o'clock when I started getting out and going, it was 28, something like that, about 10 o'clock, so we're just waiting for the snow to hit, see when it happens. Yeah, I remember you told me that, Saracen. You looked like you were having fun, so. Eric, yeah, we've had a little bit of snow, but it melted. It was earlier this month, lasted for a few days. So, Joshua, I have to agree. Tool makes anything better, man. Maynard James Keenan makes anything better, along with Adam Jones and Justin Chancellor and Danny Carey. So, how's it going, Matt? Luke, a frigid 73. To us, that's shorts and tank top weather right now. It's a real scorcher here for us. Yeah, we're just waiting for our snow season to hit, which, when it does, oh joy. People seem to forget how to drive when the snowballs start flying. Yeah, the horror. God, high 50s, mid 60s in Northern Cali? That's ridiculous. One of my best friends is stationed down in San Diego, and yeah, it never gets cold down there. Granted, a couple weeks ago I said it was like monsoon rains, so that was pretty insane. Sorry for the long pauses. I'm just waiting for more comments from you guys to pop up, so not good at filling time. I just tend to tap. I don't do well with awkward silence. So 2 questions. I'll do Matt's first, and then I'll do Leonidas's. So Matt, anything Hawkins based? They didn't use exactly a Hawkins rifle. They were more custom made rifles, typically half stock or no forestock at all. Just you have your butt stock and a very big, large, heavy barrel. I'll see if I can dig up some pictures for you and send them to you over the Facebook. So, and Leonidas. So the U.S. leaving Syria and Mad Dog resigning. My opinions. Hey, we're leaving Syria. That means Americans are out of harm's way, so that's always a good thing. And Mad Dog's had a great career. I mean, there's a reason why he's called Mad Dog Mattis. Chaos. Even though that was his call sign. He's had a long run. The man needs to relax. Spend some time alone on some beaches and just enjoy life. Actually, fun story about Mad Dog. He was actually born in a little town called Pullman, Washington, where the Washington State University is, which is about an hour and a half away from where I live. So, woo! And Joshua, not Camp Pendleton. He's down in San Diego. He's in the Navy, so he's down in that area. Luke, that's awesome. That is awesome. Artillery is the coolest thing in the world. And Phoenix, both sides are right, both sides are wrong. I kind of say I'm in the middle when it comes to where everything was. And yes, Joshua, always listen to the warrior monk. Be polite and courteous to everyone you meet, but have a plan to kill everyone in the room. Eric, so for kepis and forge caps for private purchase, for officers, very common, since they had to buy most of, well, not most of, they had to buy a 99% of their uniforms and equipment that they had. For the enlisted men, your higher ranking NCOs, things like that, beginning in the war, I'm sure had them. However, when they got their re-enlistment pay, things like that, private purchase items became a lot more common, 63, 64, stuff like that. Leonidas, I have great respect for Mad Dog as well. Guy's a real inspiration and someone to try strive to be as a leader. Luke, both myself and well, hey, First Sergeant Kep's here, so I'll let him handle that. But normally the Facebook messages are handled between me, him, and his wife, Mrs. First Sergeant, who has a Facebook. First Sergeant Kep doesn't believe in the beauties of modern social media, which honestly I don't blame him at times. It's more of a headache than it is anything. Nick, that's awesome. Mattis is a very interesting, very neat person. And he's a local guy for me, which is a huge plus. Yeah, Eric. As I said, later in the war, when people were re-enlisting, they got a little bonus, their re-up bonus. Yeah, private purchase items were very common, but your senior NCOs, your sergeant majors, first sergeants, some sergeants to begin with were very. I don't want to say common, but there was a proliferation of private purchase items with that portion of the army, especially with sharpshooters. They like to stand out. As if, wearing green in a sea of blue didn't make them stand out enough. I mean, you know. Nick, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's Mad Dog, so. Plus, you gotta love the oorah. Actually, have a really funny joke that I have saved on my phone that I found scrolling through Facebook a few days ago, and there's an oorah in there. I just got back from my grandparents before starting the stream, and my grandpa was a sergeant major in the Marines. Of course, I had to read him the joke, and yeah, he definitely got a kick out of it, and had to belt out an oorah for it as well. Leonidas, from what I have done research-wise, Irish harps were not really a thing on forge caps or kepis. If there were, I haven't seen any photographic evidence of it. However, I'm sure maybe a few existed, but not enough to really justify a cause for it. I mean, way back when I started, I had an Irish harp on my forge cap for about 2 events, and then I just realized, just didn't fit right, just didn't look proper. Plus, people already mistake, sharpshooters for wearing green as Irish Brigade, so it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna ditch this. And Battle Bear, thoughts on wooden canteens? I've heard they are an absolute pain at times to take care of. You gotta constantly make sure that the wood doesn't dry out. But I mean, for Confederate impressions, hell yeah. I mean, anything they could have used, they probably would have used for it. So Yeah, Joshua also answered pretty much answered the question spot on too. Just not enough documentation. Donald Helms, how hard is it to find green trousers? To find the right green trousers, the right weight, the right color is a huge one. You got to do some digging. If you want, kind of your Farby mainstream entry level for a reasonable price, Mill Creek Sutler has them for I think $60 last I looked. You want to do the more authentic, but still reasonable Wamba White and Company. They do green trousers, the right Arsenal, the Schuylkill Arsenal. If you want to go absolutely perfect, you're gonna have to import that wool from England. Um, it's, I mean, what last year when we did our Hainsworth order, we bought in bulk, and for 40 meters, it was still about $50 per meter. And you need 2 meters to make, or 2 yards. They ship it in meters because, UK. But you need roughly 2 yards to make trousers. So, and then you have to pay someone to make them. So it's always, how far do you want to go? Personally, I love the Hainsworth wool. That's what my whole uniform's made out of. We're slowly gearing that way with all of us here in Company D, so I'm a little biased, can I say. Leonidas. Depends on the theater of war that you're doing and your overall impression. So basically, is it documented that your regiment, your specific company was wearing, civilian hats, slouch hats, things like that on a specific campaign, specific battle? Eastern Theater, Western Theater, Trans-Mississippi, Florida, stuff like that. Corey Matthew, Company D did not use Spencer rifles. They used the Sharps. Pretty much all the sharpshooters were issued Sharps rifles. Some did use the heavy target rifles on special occasions. There was one sharpshooter officer, I want to say Company F of the 2nd U.S., his personal rifle was a Spencer. That's the only instance I have of sharpshooters carrying a Spencer. So. Eric, this is what this is for. These are what I like live streaming for. I can answer your guys' questions right off the bat. So, and to answer your question, any recommendations for a affordable but historically accurate issue blanket? Type in Sutler of Fort Scott. Go to their winter and like cold weather things. They have a fairly decent blanket for $40. It's 3.5 pounds, so it's not the regulation, 5-pound blanket. However, that was the regulation. I'm sure many blankets were not the 5-pound regulation. These are, like I said, 3.5 pound. But to start out, that should hopefully get you going in the right way. Right now, no one's really making blankets, or if they do, you got to pre-order them, and they're usually sucked up pretty quick, and they're expensive. And yeah, Luke brings up a good point too. If you're doing Confederate, handmade quilts are also a really good way to go. And Donald, not a problem. James Stevens, not much. Just trying to keep warm, working, stuff like that. So having a good time, making knapsacks, sewing stuff. I got one of my projects right here behind me, currently working on that I have to take a few days from because my fingers are a little chewed up. I can't use thimbles. I just don't have the dexterity that I like. So, way to be a Yankee, Eric. Leonidas, I've been to Gettysburg, so to spend my money to go to one of those two battlefields, I'd go to Vicksburg, because I've already been to Gettysburg twice. Haven't been to any of the Western Theater battles yet, so I really need to get on that. Both were very important, though. I mean, Gettysburg broke the back of the Army in Northern Virginia, and Vicksburg was the death knell in the Confederacy. They both had their importance, and they were both fought right around the same, well, on the same time frame. Yeah, Joshua, you're absolutely true. Nick Sakala, you may shell out $200, and it may take you a year and a half, 2 years to get it. I ordered 2 pair of shoulder boards from them a couple of years ago, sharpshooter shoulder boards, and said they were in stock. I waited 9 months to get them. So he does have an issue with sending things out. I mean, everyone's mileage may vary. I usually bought secondhand through Regimental Quartermaster when their markup prices weren't terribly high. Notice they've gone up a little bit. Yeah, Joshua, it's you're right. I mean, most reviews I've seen of his are not the best. Donald, besides going through, your mainstream settlers, Blockade Runner, Fall Creek, CNC, stuff like that, the best way is to, if you have Facebook, go on Facebook. There's the reenactor or Civil War reenactor trade blankets, and some really good quality ones pop up every now and then. Some LD Hanning, Missouri Boot and Shoe ones. Those are absolutely fantastic packs. I have a Nick Sakala one that I picked up through a Regimental Quartermaster. So if you can get one of those are also very nice packs. But for cheap prices, other than 150, 160 bucks secondhand, the mainstream ones, which are about 80 to 90 last I checked. And yeah, American Civil War Knapsacks does good ones too. My first hair trunk was actually made from them. So, oh yeah, second pack turned out wonderfully for Sergeant. Knapsack number 2. So, all set and ready to go. Just needs the mess kit. So, I'm very happy with this one. Turned out just as good as the first one. So, no complaints. And yeah, Nick, CNC is not the best. That is for sure. Eric, tips I would give you. Always keep an open mind. You will never know everything. Keep researching, keep trying to learn. Have fun. Well, drink water and have fun. That's kind of my very big overview. There's a lot. If you want to go to our website, my email's on there. Shoot me an email and I can help you out a lot more through there. I can go on tips on how to get you going in the hobby and things like that. So, how's it going, Civil War fan reenactor? Nick, I'm actually going to have to countermand that. Canteen, shoes, hat. Canteen because you need water, shoes because your feet are your transportation, and a hat because that's the first thing that, 1, people notice, and 2, if it's a really bad hat, it's going to fall apart on you, and you're going to be miserable in a rainy day or a very sunny day. Leonidas, thank you. I'm currently working on 2 more, so taking a break off a little bit, so don't want to get burnt out on making, just a ton of them week after week after week after week. So, Luke, I carry a Model 1850 Foot Officer sword. So just a very plain Jane generic sword. Nothing special. And yeah, the sharpshooter officers did carry swords. There's plenty of original photographs of sharpshooter officers carrying them. So they did also carry rifles. That wasn't very unheard of either. So I just prefer to carry a sword, mainly because uh, of my 3 sharps, they usually get loaned out at every single event. So, but someone goes down on the field, I usually pick up a rifle and steal some cartridges out of a fallen comrade's cartridge box and get some trigger time in. Joshua, that's awesome, man. That is fantastic. Eric, congrats, man. Getting there. Once you get like all your main equipment too, then you start seeing like, ooh, handkerchief, ooh, this, ooh, that. It goes on and on and on and on and on. But yeah, definitely shoot me an email. I'd love to help you out and give you some tips, pointers, and steer you in the right direction. And yes, 700 to a grand is a lot of money to drop all at once. James, yeah, one of these days I need to get out more. It's just hard living on the West Coast and work and bills and all that kind of stuff. One day when I'm rich and powerful and won't work and I'll be able to travel a lot. Civil War fan reenactor. I've been reenacting going into my 11th year now. Leonidas, actually, First Sergeant Kep would be the best information on that, so I'll let him. Okay, he already beat me to it. I just saw that pop up in the chat. Luke, very nice. That is awesome. Joshua, the Wamba White Drawers kit. If I remember right, it's rated a 1-star. Funny story about those is I've sewn their fatigue blouses. In fact, I'm working on a trouser kit right now for someone, along with a issue shirt, drawers, and 2 coats, along with some Confederate stuff coming my way eventually. And I've done, by the time I did a drawers kit, I did 4 of their coats, and I was so used to the intricacies of a fatigue blouse that the drawers are so simplistic, they confused me. They're fairly easy, you just got to take your time. Something kind of holds you up. You know, Google's right there. You know, just type in, what is a dart? How do you sew a dart? Things like that. And it goes by pretty easily, so. I think I did the pair of drawers in a day, so they're fairly easy. And that's when I was still very much, I mean, I'm still a novice, but I was very much more green when it came to sewing. Eric, that's actually a really good question. So, Hiram Berdan was trying to raise 3 regiments of sharpshooters. That way there could be a sharpshooter brigade. He would become a brigadier general of sharpshooters because he was in it for himself and his own personal glory. However, 1st Regiment was very easily formed. The 2nd Regiment was formed, however, 2 companies from Massachusetts did not agree with Hiram Berdan, so they left and became the 1st and 2nd companies called Andrews Sharpshooters. And after that, you know, the campaigns were in full swing, and they just weren't able to find enough marksmen to form a 3rd regiment. But God, if 3 regiments on the field doing their work, that would have been insane. And Donald, it depends on your unit. Some do once a year, they vote on officers and NCOs. Some do every other year. Company D, we just promote off merit. So How well do you know drill? How well do you know weapon safety, sharpshooter history, camp safety? Um, how dedicated are you with your impression? Do you have all your main parts of your gear, a rifle, things like that? But every unit's different. How many soldiers are in our company? On paper, we have 16. And still growing. We still have some people coming through. Um, I get questions about it once every 4 or 5 months. So we have some people kind of waiting in the wings, waiting for personal lives to settle. But we're very close to reaching our 20 goal, which would be so great. James, yes, I would love to do a Trans-Mississippi event. I just need to get my standard Federal Blues, which shouldn't be too hard. I mean, I know how to sew. Wamba does great kits. And Donald, yes, there was quite a few Confederate sharpshooters. They weren't regular units like the 1st and 2nd U.S. or the 66th Illinois. Basically, they would take the best shots out of these certain regiments, put them into a battalion for a campaign. When the campaign was over, they would disperse them back into their home regiments and companies. James, that sounds fantastic. Definitely need to keep in touch. Yeah, Hiram Berdan was a very interesting man. Luke, I look forward to hearing from you. Wilson Chettle. Hopefully I'm not butchering your name. I'm sorry. I'll try to pronounce names right. Um, for starting out, I still wouldn't suggest CNC. Yes, things are cheap, but you have to remember you pay what you get for. And I've seen people with a lot of CNC stuff, and it falls apart very, very quickly. It's better to, cry once over something instead of cry multiple times when it breaks, because the multiple times you replace something or have to repair something, you could easily, save that money, or could have saved that money and actually put it towards something very uh, high end, or not even high end, just middle ground, and it would still save you a lot of money in the long run. Joshua, I believe there was. I'm trying to remember. It's ringing a bell on people keeping track of their kills, things like that. I'm just not exactly sure, so I don't want to give you a false answer. But I'll try and look it up for you, and next live stream, I will definitely answer it for you, what I find out. Luke, definitely got to keep that in mind. It's always fun meeting new reenactors and new people, new insane people that are in this hobby, because we're all insane. I mean, who in their right mind runs around in wool uniforms in the heat? We do. Well, we all do. So, and how much are good shoes? For your very basic, no hobnails, no heel plates, Missouri boot and shoe, $195. If you can get a pair of lightly used Robert Lands, they're still gonna charge you $100, $120. But I always suggest taking care of your feet, so spend the money on your footwear. And Donald, yes, they did. The sharpshooters had regimental colors and national colors. However, you don't hear much about them in the field. I'm sure the colors were cased, placed safely, with the regiment or on the baggage train. They stood out, but there were times that they used the colors to their advantage. Like at Gettysburg, they fooled the 15th Alabama thinking two other regiments were approaching from the rear, when really it was just a couple sharpshooter companies, and they split up, one carrying each flag, and they fooled the Confederates into thinking more regiments were attacking from the rear. Eric, Regimental Quartermaster, I love that they have a campaigner section, good quality stuff. Um, some of their other like little odds and ends items are pretty nice. Same with Fall Creek. Uh, Uniform wise, I want to say they're mainstream, maybe upper mainstream, so they're not terrible. Not, like Wamba White, uh, Nick Sakala, Kelly Ford level, but they do offer those things in their little campaigner section. Regimental does, so I definitely appreciate that of them. Oh yeah, Fugawee. I completely forgot about them. Yeah, for starting out, they're not terrible. Shoes, I think my first pair of Brogans ever were Fugawees, and they held up. And then my feet grew because I was 15 and still growing like a weed. So go figure. Donald, they don't have to be. I like them just because it's a little bit of an extra traction on terrain. Definitely no traction on linoleum floor. I found that out personally by myself. And a friend of mine doing some grocery shopping Friday night, setting up after an event, and we needed some stuff. And yeah, I fell flat on my ass. That was great. Right in front of a ton of people dressed like a complete dork in my uniform. So fun times. Is there Irish people in our company? Most of us have Irish descent, yeah. The original Company D, yes, had some Irishmen in it. Yeah, Jared, I guess I'm a vendor in a way too. I do sew uniforms now. Radiation King, how's it going? And yeah, what First Sergeant Kep said. Um, there's a huge debate on heel plates and hobnails and all that on footwear. Um, I definitely like them just because one, it is traction, and two, it does prolong the life of our footwear. We have to buy these ourselves; they're not issued to us. So, and James, yeah, Missouri Boot and Shoe, absolutely the best. That's where my officers' boots are from, and I love them absolutely. So, Warfan, you have a good one. Have a good Christmas. Hopefully, if you're traveling, be safe. We use Casey's for our drill, Donald. Um, Sharpshooters were very known to do Casey's. Yeah, and my buttons, Jared. So uniforms, make knapsacks, basic leather work, and buttons. Settlers to 100% avoid. CNC Settler. Right off the bat. Um, Uniforms from Blockade Runner and their leathers. Some of their odds and end items are very good. They have quite a few unique items. God, there's one that comes to mind, and I can't remember for the life of me. There's a guy named Mark Watts. He's usually on Etsy. His name's like Jedediah Nightlinger and other weird names like that. Definitely avoid him. He's a scam artist par excellent. A lot of people have had issues with him in the past. So But I can definitely give you a list of a lot of good sutlers to go to. It's an easier list for me. Hey Dean, how's it going? Good. Glad to hear it. And yeah, since I don't do well with, just long pauses of silence and all that, I actually kind of sit here and just do the awkward turtle kind of below the camera. So quite a few people play Johnny Rebs here in Washington. Actually, their battalion outnumbers us almost every event. So quite a few. But can't play Cowboys and Indians without Cowboys or Indians. So well, I'm glad that you made it, Dean. It's good to have you. Eric, yeah, I've actually done World War II reenacting as well. So as a German. Yep, First Sergeant Kep hit the nail right on the head. Always ask before you buy. Don't do some things that I've done. So, because way back I did have some guidance, but not a lot. So some things I did buy, and I didn't really need to buy. Donald, we have never had anyone from Georgia fall in with us. We did have a member, though, that was Canadian, so that was pretty cool. Eric, that's absolutely right. We shoot 10 rounds a minute, so got to make up the slack for all the slow shooters. The Sutlers I would highly recommend, and what gear I'd most likely recommend from them, or from each one. That's easy. Footwear, Missouri Boot and Shoe. Uniforms, Union or Confederate. Wamba White and Company, Kelly Ford, Kyle Windall. Leathers, L.D. Hanning. Ground cloths, L.D. Hanning or Claude Sinclair. Canteens, any of your tinware, Axel Ulrich. Haversacks, L.D. Hanning. Headwear, Russell Osmiansky does a really good job, so. Yeah, Dean, I mean, we do use breech loaders, so we do shoot a little faster. But anyways, back to the gear question. Knit goods, South Union Mills is really good for that kind of stuff. You can get socks from Wamba White and Company. Yeah, you really don't have to go to a million different places to get all your uniforms and gear. So, Leonidas, that's actually a really good question. I would say it's from the political stance and strategic and tactical stance, yes, it would be very justified. You have the Confederates beat. They're bloody to a pulp. But so is the Army of the Potomac. 3 days of hard fighting sapped a lot of strength and energy and numbers out of the Army. Both sides were completely exhausted. So, from a logical standpoint, not really justified. But from, political and a military standpoint, yeah, justified. It just depends, what side of the sword are you on? Let's see, Goober Grabber Headwear. I will need to save that. Take a look at that. Dean, very nice. What make of Enfield? Army Sport, Parker Hale, Euro Arms, Pedersoli. I think I named all of them. An original. Anything's possible. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you, Joshua. I will definitely look into that. Well, Dean. Eric, absolutely. I'm happy to help. I'm sure First Sergeant Kep is as well. Definitely feel free to shoot me an email, too. Really look forward to helping you out. Get you going the right way. Oh, yeah. Dean, that makes sense. I think Taylor's is actually the main importer for Chiapa Army Sport. So... That's awesome. I'm happy for you. Getting a good deal is always a great feeling. Donald, we went to the 150th Gettysburg, so that's pretty much the farthest we've traveled for an event. Locally, for our events, for me personally, when we do our living history on the Oregon coast in Astoria, for those of you who know the movie Goonies, that was filmed in Astoria, and we go to an original portion of a Civil War fort that was there called Fort Stevens. It was also a fort during World War II. For me, that's about a 8, 9, sometimes 10-hour drive if I hit Portland traffic, which is horrendous. Leonidas, you have a good one. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. And look forward to chatting with you later. So definitely setting stuff in mind for knapsacks for you since you were interested in one. Hey, what's going on, First Minnesota? Glad you can jump in on the stream. This is awesome. It's always fun to have another YouTube channel jump in with us. And I'm watching the public view of what you guys see, and sorry for me looking like a complete derp. Dean, I will definitely be sure to. Yeah, what is new with the First Minnesota? Damn. It's a reasonably sized battlefield. Have a good one, Dean. Ooh, yeah. I'm definitely going to be watching that, so. Okay, that was weird. I think my internet just dropped for a split second. And all I did was move my mouse, so. We're okay. What is most interesting about sharpshooting? How modern the tactics were. The skirmish drill. It's very similar to what is used today in modern military tactics. You know, your comrade of arms, your four-man fighter team, and then, you know, fanning out, using cover, moving, things like that. And yeah, I have to agree with Jared too. How, you know, they really only tried it once, and then they never really utilized it again. I mean, yes, the United States did have a regiment of riflemen way back. I believe that was the 1820s, 1830s, something like that. Um, you know, we really didn't see actual use of snipers. I mean, very minimal in the First World War, and even then in the Second World War, is still a very much in its infancy. I also think too how very teamwork heavy the sharpshooters were, but still very. Um, I don't want to say loners because that's not the right word I'm looking for here. Um, they thought for themselves, not in, you know, only looking out for themselves, because they were more than willing to help their brothers in arms, but they were more individualistic, I believe is a word. I hope so. How's it going, Aiden? Um, Wintertime there really wasn't much fighting. The closest you would get is, you know, minor firefights between pickets, things like that. Fredericksburg would be the closest big battle you'd have to that time, but yeah, soldiers definitely celebrated the holidays. You know, as much as they could in the field. Um, you know, there was also gifts exchanges of some sorts, um, and not just, you know, Union, Union, Confederate, Confederate. You know, they would cross the lines. You know, pickets would trade, things like that. Oh, you were looking for a rifle, Aiden? Well, yeah, because you've been talking about planning on joining us. So, duh. Which, yeah, we should chat more too, since we've only had minimal contact and all that. Get to know each other better and get to know the company better too. I think that'd be fun, even though you're not ready yet. I don't want to pressure you. But get on the same page, I guess. Joshua, you have a good one. Drive safe and have a Merry Christmas. And yeah, just chilled in winter camp is, like, pun intended, no pun intended there, First Sergeant. Wait for the stream to catch up. Oh, the chat. So. Donald, that's a fun question. We've been trained on artillery. I've never actually done the artillery impression. And if I did do artillery, I would want to do it right. You know, no all red shirts, things like that. I'd love to do it properly. Plus, depends on your question too. Are you talking field artillery or heavy artillery? Yeah, I mean, Jared's right. We've taken a lot of cannons, if that counts. Yeah, percussion caps would be a good stocking stuffer. Socks, like wool knit socks, stuff like that would be a good one. Your very nice pictures that you have there for Sergeant in you know which ones I'm talking about. Or at least I hope you do. Manuals would also be a good one. Yeah, arsenal packs, rounds, manuals, dip pens, inkwells. Cleaning supplies for rifles. I mean, First Sergeant, we could do that. Chehalis, there's a train. All we have to do is just ride the train for an entire weekend and not do anything. Yeah, black powder. Severson, first of all, we would need a ship. And not a land ship, an actual ship. Or I can just bring my canoe over to the Chehalis event and we just sit in the river and shoot rifles off. No one will see us, but we'll have fun. Oh god, that'd be fantastic. Big old 10-inch Dahlgren gun or something like that. Kaboom! That'd be a lot of fun. We need to work on that, Jared. Saracen, it's funny that you say you just got to win the lottery, because for the first time ever, I actually just had like a spare $10 and just put in a lotto ticket, because ooh, Donald, that's a good one. I mean, we already have a Marine unit here in Washington State. But hey, you know, we can be the ship that lands them. Amphibious landing. It is not a period canoe, sadly. It is an old town. Thing is like a battleship, I swear. Thing's a tank. Excuse the hat head. If I win, that would be amazing. Yeah, it would, Severson, but my luck's not that good. Very early on, yes. Not in the Civil War, Donald, but 1820s, I believe they had green uniforms, so. They're very much blue trousers in the winter, white trousers in the summer. And they're blue Marine Corps frocks. Yeah, well, Severson, I think every reenactor, like, correct me if I'm wrong, everyone in the chat, but you guys have all dreamt about winning the lottery and all the stuff you'd buy for reenacting for yourself, your unit, things like that. Like, I'm not just the only insane person here, right? Yeah, I'd love to make a dugout canoe. Been watching the videos that the James Townsend and Sons have put out. I want to try it. As much time as that would take, I want to try it. Well, yeah, Severson, I know I have something wrong in my head. Yeah, I could always make a raft. A raft would be interesting. And Saracen, I mean, Jared has a point. You are Private Goober after all. I mean, you're not wrong, but Aiden, the hardest part about making these packs, which this is number 2, honestly, is just making sure things line up properly. Nothing's actually very hard about making these. It's just, there's some tedium involved. You know, every little stitch of the binding is all done by hand. So, it just takes time. That's really all it is, but they're a lot of fun to make. I absolutely love these packs, so I love making these packs. I think I have 10 more to make, so I better love making them. Otherwise, I'm in the wrong business. Completely off the subject, I definitely need a better computer chair. Not yet, Jared. I'm still waiting on hearing from them. However, I did do the field stress test on the both knapsacks. So after the live stream, if you want to chat a bit or something, just let me know, and I can fill you in on everything. Donald, that's actually a very good question. So your line number is basically your alphabetical order in your company, A to Z. Granted, there's not many Youngs, Xaviers, and Zimmers around in the world, as my grandpa would like to say. So, especially for me, with the last time at Whitehall, I'd be very, very up in the number range. Probably, my guess would be 95 to 100. So, sucks to be you, Severson. Andrew, yes, they did. They lifted the shooting ban September 13th, I believe. So yeah, we've been able to shoot for a while. We've had a lot of rain. A lot of rain, so made deer season and grouse hunting a lot better this year. So a lot better. Hopefully next summer won't be as dry, won't be as hot, so we can actually do our bivouac again and actually do some shooting. Matt, very nice. Yeah, Jared made a good point that I didn't touch on is in Company D we kind of get to pick our own line number. So usually it's your favorite number, your lucky number, your age, year you were born in, uh, just a random number. Like I know for a fact my file number would not be 52, but that's the number I picked mainly because one of my favorite bombers is the B-52. So and it's always kind of been a lucky number for me. Yeah, it's been a windy, wet one over here too, Severson. So today was actually a really nice, cold but sunny day. Matt, I found where those labels are that are printed out. So after this, I will send you a message to the link and all that. Yep, Andrew, the buff. Which, of course, on TV, buff stands for big, ugly, fat fellow. It's the military. Come on, we know what the other F means. We're not dumb. And yeah, Donald, B-52s are awesome. Fairchild Air Force Base used to be a SAC base during the Cold War, and I still remember a few B-52s. Granted, the SAC base was no more by the time I was born, but I still remember some B-52s flying in. They still do from time to time, and Oh, those things are beautiful. Not a problem, Matt. Matt, good question. Basically, it just depends what was being issued at the time. Um, Sharpshooters weren't issued anything special canteen-wise. Preferably, I like the bullseye or the corrugated canteens because those ribs add strength to it, and we're always kind of falling, running around, dropping, uh, hitting the dirt pretty quickly. So I have to say the corrugated is a little better just because it gives some strength. Donald, that's awesome. Okay, so Severson, let me rephrase that. My favorite modern bomber is the B-52. My favorite World War II bomber, B-17 all the way. I mean, it's not like I have one just up over here of a model of one. Andrew, yeah, I've heard some similar stuff like that before. Talk about keeping it in the family. Matt, yeah, I would definitely say a bullseye would be good because bullseye started being issued out around 1862, if I remember correctly. Actually, hey, shout out time. Check out the 11th Ohio Volunteer Cavalry. They have a video. I think it's like an hour long just on canteens, and they go really in depth. Saracen, did I ever tell you that my great grandpa, his best friend, was a crew member on a B-17, and he was shot down over Germany, spent time in a POW camp? And my great grandpa was also a crew member on B-29s. Actually, he was a pilot. So, Matt, I need to come visit, basically. You have my favorite fighter plane, besides the Corsair or the P-47. And you have my favorite bomber, 2 miles from where you live. Thought we were closer than that, man. Why are you holding this information out on me? Yeah, Severson. Absolutely. So now you know. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, B-17s are beautiful planes. I mean, of course, I would have one as a model. Well, Severson, Bill Anders lives in Bellingham. he was on Apollo 8. He was actually the one that took the picture of the moon and then Earth behind it. He owns a P-51 and I believe F4F or an F6F that his son flies. Matt, that's awesome, man. Oh, yeah, Matt, I also have to agree with Spitfire. Granted, I'm naming the American planes. For British, oh yeah, Spitfire all the way. I don't care about any other plane the Brits had. Spitfire. Yeah, the Museum of Flight in Seattle, Aiden, is a fantastic place. I've been there a couple times, and I absolutely love going there. I love planes, so. Okay, so for World War II planes, I've already covered the Americans, the Brits. For the Germans, I gotta go with the Butcher Bird, the Focke-Wulf 190. But ME 109s are pretty good too, but I don't know, the Focke-Wulf just packed one hell of a punch. Matt, very nice. Need to get more of my World War II German kit together again. Severson, of course, you'd pick an or not Severson, Jared, of course, you'd have to be a smart ass. Andrew, you saw an XB70. That is insane. Donald, the unit I belong to, they did Western and Eastern Front, but we do Grossdeutschland, 5th Company. So Grossdeutschland mostly fought on the Eastern Front. However, they were on the Western Front a little bit, very, very minimal. All right, since we're going in on Star Wars, A-Wing. Donald, very nice. Yeah, actually I have my Stahlhelm hanging up right now, and my K98 bayonet's laying around here somewhere. Andrew, yeah, if you could find pictures of it, I'd really appreciate it. All right, Jared, you have a good one. Well, I know for a fact I'll talk with you later, so. Oh, the TIE Interceptor. Y-Wing was pretty good though too. So, like how we're a Civil War reenacting YouTube channel, and we're talking about World War II planes and Star Wars at the same time. Severson, type into YouTube Generation Tech A-Wing. Just do it. But I'm probably gonna have to follow suit of the first sergeant here in about 8 minutes. Someone turns 6. I'll probably be getting off too. Got some things to take care of, but you know, got another 8 minutes. I love chatting with you guys. So. Aiden, when you finally join the company, you will be very good friends with Private Soderling and his wife, because they are huge Star Wars fans as well. In fact, their wedding rings have Mandalorian written on the inside of them. Well, they have an inscription in Mandalorian, I should say. Andrew, I bet that was absolutely fun. So, I think most of us here in the company are Star Wars fans, except for Corporal Hardway. Just hasn't seen the light. Aiden, that's awesome, man. Yep, Star Wars, Goonies, Indiana Jones. Those are like my all-time favorite movies to watch when I was growing up as a little kid. Had a lot of Star Wars Legos too, so my poor mom and her feet. Aiden, that, yeah. I mean, you gotta go full nerd. I mean, come on. My favorite Star Wars character? Can I pick a top 3, Donald? Boba Fett? Obi-Wan Kenobi? And I'm gonna cheat on this one. I'm sorry. But it's a tie between Han and Chewie. I mean, you can't really take one without the other, so they're a duo. Andrew, I can definitely, there's no wonder why they didn't like that. Severson, Luke's a pansy. And, you know, it's kind of easy to be the most powerful person using the Force when you're the only one alive, really. Debatable. Debatable. Yes, Jaws and Jurassic Park are also good movies. I wanted to be a paleontologist growing up when I was a little kid, so. 3 days in an M35. Andrew, I feel very sorry for you. 'Alright, Aiden, what you got? Huh, solid choices. Ha! Andrew, no, that's traveling in style. Alright, guys, so it's 6 o'clock, so I'm gonna get off, take care of some things. But I'm planning on doing the next live stream. It's either going to be Wednesday, January 2nd, Thursday, January 3rd, or I might do Saturday the 5th. So keep an eye out either on here on YouTube or the Facebook page that we have, because we'll do my best to post them both on both formats to help things out. But no, it's been good talking with you guys. I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas. If you guys are traveling, please drive safe. If you're driving with someone, tell them to drive safe. Love chatting with you guys, so I don't want to not have to chat with one of you due to some tragic circumstances. But you guys have a good rest of your night, and hope you have a great Christmas and a great New Year's, because I definitely will be. But yeah, everyone have a good one.